This is an interview with Elizabeth S. Garbarino for the Stoneham Public Library Stoneham Oral History Project by Martha Rush at the Stoneham Public Library on September 26, 1975 at 11 a.m. We're here with Mrs. Garbarino, who is presently the head librarian at the Stoneham Public Library. Mrs. Garbarino, I understand you've been employed here since 1950, is that correct?
Since 1960.
Oh, 60, right.
Yes.
And what did you do prior to starting your career at the Stoneham Library?
Well, prior to that, I worked 2 years at Sylvania Electronics Company in Waltham, and I was assistant librarian in the technical library there.
How was that? That very different from public library work?
Quite different. It's all, you're dealing with people who are interested in just one subject.
Right, so it's very specialized.
Very specialized, yes.
And where were you born and brought up?
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and went to schools. I went to the elementary schools in Boston, and then moved to Medford and finished school in the junior high and high school in Medford, and graduated from Medford High School in 1931.
And what did you do after graduating from Medford High School?
After graduating from Medford High, I worked at the library evenings, and then I was married in 1935 and took time out for a family, and then later went back to work at the Medford Public Library.
And you had one son, Paul.
I had one son, Paul, who was married to Diane, the former Diane Ford of Medford.
And they're now living in Vermont.
They're living in Vermont, yes, Burlington, Vermont, and they have 2 children, Stephen and Lori.
And after that time you went back to the Medford Public Library?
Yes, I did. I went back as a senior assistant and branch librarian, and that was, it was 47, 48 or so.
And how long were you there?
I was there 11 years full-time.
I see.
Prior to that, I had worked as a page during high school years.
Oh, yeah.
And that, of course, goes back to 1930, so you might say I grew up at the Medford Library.
Yeah. You worked at Sylvania, and then you started at the Stoneham Public Library. Now, when you first started here, what was your position?
My position was as assistant librarian under Jim Healy. He was the head librarian at the time. And I worked as assistant librarian until 1963. And in 1963, the trustees appointed me head librarian, and I have been head librarian since that time.
Very good. And about how many staff members were there when, say, in 1963, full-time members?
I would say we have 10 full-time staff members now, and I would say there probably at that time was about 6 or 7 full-time.
6 or 7 full-time. I'm sure at that time there were quite a bit fewer part-time people too.
Yes, there were.
Than there are now.
Yes.
And
you want me to tell you something about the present staff and
sure.
how many we
Sure.
have at the
Go right
present
ahead.
time? At the present time, there are 10 full-time staff people, 1 full-time custodian, 1 part-time custodian. Then we have 13 part-time people, and 9 of those are adult and 4 high school pages. We also have 1 CETA person who was, that, as you know, that program comes under Manpower. And she is an audiovisual clerk, helps us in the office and helps with our film programs.
I see. And how long has she been here?
She's been here since last February.
I see. Now, what are presently the library is housed at 431 Main Street, and the addition was added in 1931, I think?
Yes, it was.
And that was funded by?
That was from funds of the Annie Hamilton Brown money that was left to the library.
And before that, the building was built?
1903, donated by Andrew Carnegie.
Right, one of the Carnegie libraries.
Right. All the town had to appropriate was $7,000. They had to provide furniture for the library, and they had to provide the land, of course, to put it on. So that in all of these years, practically Well, since 1903, the only thing the town has spent on a library building is that $7,000. The rest of it has been funded. Our addition was funded. There was a renovation done in 1950-something, or 1958, I think it was. And that also was funded from Annie Hamilton Brown.
Oh, it was.
That was also money from the Brown Fund, yes.
Where would the library be without Annie Hamilton?
I know. We hope that there are a few more of these people around that will really remember the library and the library's needs, and the fact that we are serving so many of the people.
And there was recently a donation toward the new building fund?
Yes, we have had, last week I had a very surprise visit from a friend who has been coming into the library, and she passed me a check in the amount of $1,000 to go to our building fund.
That's
We're
great.
very happy with this. This person wishes to remain anonymous, so I can't mention her name.
Well, there are plans for a new library, and the site has been chosen and has been known by the town for this purpose. Now, could you give us the background
Yes.
on the new library?
The site is going to be at the corner of Flint Avenue and Main Street, which is just below Barbo's furniture store. We have selected the firm. When I say we, I mean the library building, or the library planning committee has selected the firm of James C. Hopkins Associates. We have preliminary plans for the new building, which will be approximately 20,420 square feet. This building will be an open, flexible structure with movable furnishings and book stacks. Now, the cost last March at town meeting was $1,153,700. We are still hoping that the people will see that they can see fit to vote for money this coming March for a new building, which naturally is going to cost us more money. Each year we delay it, it goes up in price. As far as comparisons go, would you like to know a little bit about the volumes in 1931 and what we have now?
Right.
Well, in 1931, the population was around 10,000. And that we had 75,180, we had 17,063 volumes at that time, with the population of 10,000. At the present time, our population is about 22,000, and the total volumes in stock is 75,189.
Quite an increase.
This present building is only about 8,600 square feet, so you see there's quite a difference between that and the real need of the 20,000 square feet.
And the article for the new library will be brought up in the next town
Hopefully,
meeting.
hopefully. And we're hoping that the economy of the town will really encourage the people to vote for this much needed community project.
And who are the members of the building planning committee?
The members, Dr. Kleiner, Dr. Max Kleiner is the chairman of the building committee. We call it building planning committee, really, because we are not the building committee. I understand that once the money is appropriated, they will have to appoint a building committee.
See.
We are the planning committee. Mrs. Fran A. Kell is a member. Mr. McIntosh is a member from the Board of Trustees. I am a member from the library. And there's also, trying to think of the other one, there's one other member. And the other member is Leonard Gelfand.
And what is their role in?
Well, the role of the planning committee was originally, when we first started with the program, was to write up a plan for the library, which I did. And then we had to interview architects and make a decision as which one we thought would suit our needs best. And this is what we have been doing right along, trying to publicize the fact and also get it across to the people and to the friends of the library so that they can help promote the project as well.
And how active is the Friends of the Library group?
They're fairly active. They're doing things for us in small ways, but I understand now they have a group who are working very hard and diligently on the before the new town meeting comes up. They're hoping to get people lined up who will really get up and speak in favor of this building.
And the Friends sponsor semi-annual book sales.
Yes.
Funds, some funds go back to the town, and funds from books that have been donated, the money is used by the Friends of the Library.
That's right,
Mhm.
yes. And the Friends have been very generous to us whenever we have needed things in the line of small items in equipment. They have given us money to buy. In this past year, they gave us something like $500, which we have put into the building. The trustees feel we should be putting this money aside. That has gone into the building fund.
And
They've sponsored other programs. They've sponsored children's programs. They had a bus tour to Strawberry Bank in New Hampshire, and they've had bake sales. So they're doing various things to raise money.
And also the Friends of the Library donated $100, which was used by Carolyn Bean and myself for a slide presentation as part of the 250th anniversary celebration.
Right, and I must say that this was a very successful program, and I want to commend you people on the work you have done. It was very obvious from last week's program that we had here in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the town. People were very interested in the pictures and slides you made, and some of them that we were unable to identify ourselves were identified by people in the audience, which was very helpful to us and to the committee itself. Yes, the Friends were very helpful in this by sponsoring this and giving us the money to buy, and of course we all know photographic equipment and supplies are very expensive.
Sure.
So this has been a very worthwhile program, and it will be a part of our permanent history.
Let's see. What other events is the library helping the town to celebrate?
Well, the other program that we took on was an oral history project, which is being sponsored by the library, of course. And to date, we have recorded 42 tape cassettes, probably a few more since my last count, but my records show 42. And we've covered the subjects of education, schools, religious institutions, biographies, cultural and social organizations, and politics. These cassettes are ready for people to borrow and take home and play in their own players if they would like to.
What are some of the other programs and services that the library provides? And I'm not sure that all people know about all things that are offered, so I'd like you to detail
Yes, sure.
that.
Well, I feel the public library is the one great service that reaches people of all ages, and the one service that returns a wealth of knowledge and pleasure and satisfaction for the tax dollar spent. To keep the townspeople abreast of what a library of today can do over and above routine library services, we provide records, films, cassette tapes of popular music and the spoken word, framed pictures and slides. We have Stoneham newspapers on microfilm from 1874 right up to date. We also have news and business periodicals on microfilm from 1966 to date. We provide a Recordac microfilm reader for the use of the microfilm, and we also have a 3M reader printer, which will give a person a printout of an article in a newspaper or in a magazine. We also provide monthly service to the nursing homes, Home for the Aged, housing for elderly, and to the senior citizens. And we are providing book reviews to one of the nursing homes. There are regular film programs for the children and preschool story hours for the real young. Feature films are shown for all ages, and books are loaned monthly to the elementary schools, with class visits to the library, as well as librarians going to the schools, and this is on a regular scheduled basis. And this, of course, is sponsored by Mrs. Connie Rawson, who is the children's librarian, and her assistant, Martha Rush.
What has the library staff planned as far as the parade goes in October? Could you tell us about the float?
Yes, the library staff has planned. This float is under the direction of Genevieve Carpenter, who is our staff artist, and she and Mrs. McDonald are planning and providing ideas and so forth for this float. it will consist of, let's see, it's going to be, should I really tell until the time comes?
Okay, we can wait.
This is
I
supposed
know
to be a
it's-
surprise to the
it is,
people, and I
right.
think perhaps it might be better to let it go. It's
Okay.
going to be very good. One of the staff people is going to have her little girl sitting in under the tree. We're going to
Right.
have a tree there, reading a book, and we will probably have an adult sitting on the float, riding
Mhm.
along. The rest of the staff plan to walk along with the float, and we all hope to be in colonial costume.
Right, that's good.
We're quite excited about it, and I know
Mhm.
it's going to be successful.
Yeah, it should be quite a day with the parade and the football game and
It's going to be a
the
busy
ball
day, yes.
at
Yeah,
night.
but I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to it. I
Oh,
think
I
it's
think
going to be
it-
lots of fun.
I'm so glad I'm around for it. Now, there are about approximately 22,000 people in Stoneham. The number of registered residents, the number of people who do have a library card in Stoneham, I think is quite large.
Yes, it is. It's over 50% of our population. The exact count as of June 30th, 1975, which is the end of our fiscal year,
Mhm.
was 15,998, which is almost 16,000 people
That's a
registered
lot
at the
compared
library.
with the other towns and cities.
Yes,
That's
yes,
quite
that's
high.
right. And we try to keep our registrations up to date. In other words, we go through regularly, withdraw those that have expired, so that we have a fairly up-to-date registration file.
Mhm.
And we do
Mhm.
have people register every 3 years. So this way we keep it moving right along.
Well, I hope that townspeople will realize that the physical space that's available now just can't meet the needs of 16,000 people.
Right, well, I hope so too.
What, as a head librarian here, what have you seen in your career and your goals as a director in the role of a librarian in a society like ours?
Well, I have seen, as far as progress goes, I've seen the library move on from having just books, periodicals, say phonograph records, and a few pictures, moved on to films, cassettes, slides, other services that weren't provided when I first came here,
Mhm.
so that we are a very active library
Mhm.
and keeping right up to date with all of the modern conveniences and services, even though we are operating under very difficult circumstances.
It must have been a challenge for you all these years to
It
be
has.
able to provide these services to the town with limited
This
space
is the
and
thing.
funds.
I was going to say with limited funds also, as
Right,
well as limited
sure.
space. It has
Mhm.
been quite a challenge.
Mhm. I imagine you've enjoyed your work.
I have enjoyed it immensely. It's been a real pleasure, and meeting the different people and knowing the people of Stoneham. It has been a wonderful experience.
Well, do you have anything to add?
Well, the only thing I might add is that I'm looking forward to retirement this
Right.
year.
At the end
At
of
the end
December.
of December, I'm planning to retire and probably do a few of the things that I've been unable to do during my working
Mhm.
career. And I'm really looking forward to a pleasant retirement.
Mhm.
Hoping to travel some and
Work on your crafts and your jewelry.
yes, my hobbies and so forth.
Right.
And it should be a pleasure.
Mhm.
If I become bored, I'll do volunteer work. I'm sure there's a space somewhere
Oh,
for me.
always. Well, thank you for letting me interview you for the oral history, and few years when you're retired you can come and check out your tape for circulation and listen to it.
I'll do that, Martha. Thank you very much.
And I hope some people in the town will also do it. I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they
Thank
will.
you.
It should be a pleasure.